What if someone were to tell you that everything you think you know about Chicago is wrong? Well, that's what the latest Sun-Times feature is seeking to do, challenging assumptions about the city we love and trying to find solutions. Here's my chat with the writer. So this piece you wrote, Ed, City at a Crossroads, part of a series, and you were talking about why everything we think we know about Chicago is wrong. Wow. That's a standout statement. Why did you decide to write this?
This series, it's the first in a long series, 26 pieces, going to appear over this coming year. Tell people, here's what's happening, here are the trends, here's what we need to do about it.
One hot button topic here in Chicago is population loss. We lost our population for another year, but you say that's not the complete story.
We do have a very serious problem, probably one of the most serious problems we have, which is the loss of the black middle class. That's something we got to do something about right away. But the problem of population loss is concentrated, frankly, in the black population. The other major ethnic groups in the city are all on the rise. That's a good thing. We do, however, have to do something about dealing with the black middle class community.
Another one you talk about in here is Chicago solving its problems by taxing the rich. What were your thoughts on that?
Even if you thought that was a good idea in principle, we just don't have enough rich people in Chicago. Chicago is a much more prosperous town than it was 30 or 40 years ago. However, if you look at San Francisco for a comparison, obviously a town in pretty good shape, 21% of households in San Francisco make more than $200,000 a year. Pretty good buck.
Yeah.
In Chicago, by comparison, it's only 7% of households. We just don't have the same kind of depth of money that that town's got, so it's just not going to work.
Not as many rich folk.
Exactly.
How about Chicago public schools? There's this idea that CPS schools are terrible or awful. You say, chill a little bit on that.
And this goes back to the days of my childhood. It was always considered, at best, a mediocre school system that you only went to if you couldn't afford anything better. The school system still has serious problems, no getting around it. But there's also no question that it has substantially improved. Five of the five best high schools in the state of Illinois are located in the city of Chicago and part of the public school system here.
Another thing people talk about with Chicago, a big story, is the plight of the black community here in Chicago. You make the point that things aren't bright, but they're not as bleak as we might think they are. What do you mean by that?
Not to make this look better than it is. The situation is not rosy, don't get me wrong. However, there are some promising signs that if we can help these things along, may improve the situation. In particular, the South Lakefront, in my opinion, and I don't think I'm alone, is starting to coalesce as a well-off, middle-class, predominantly African-American, but increasingly diverse community, which I think is potentially the starting point of a revitalized South Side and certainly South Lakefront.
And finally, why is it important to kind of give context to these things and kind of look at these issues on a deeper level?
Because people need to understand the trends and not just work on their assumptions and the common wisdom, which is often mistaken. We need to really go into the data here and figure out what our problems are, what our opportunities are, and make the appropriate decisions. And we haven't got unlimited resources. We have to be shrewd about this. And that's what in this series I'm going to try to accomplish.
I'll tell you what, this is definitely an interesting read. You're going to want to check it out. You can find it in the Sunday edition of the Sun-Times. We're also going to have a link to the story on our website, thejamtvshow.com.